I'll be right back.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later. Give it back!
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome to this month's Salute to Service, and with me I have U.S. Army Paratrooper Eric Bost. Eric, how you doing, man?
Doing great, Ed.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, you're one of the younger folks to have on the show in recent history, so I guess we'll just start out with, you should remember quite a bit about your childhood and where you grew up at. So, where are you originally from?
Well, I'm from Medina. I grew up in Chippewa, which is southwestern Medina, I think.
Southwestern part of the county, yeah.
So I grew up near Chippewa Lake, and I grew up on a farm, so growing up all the time, me and my buddies, we'd play Army. And I decided, when I turned 18, I wanted to take that further and join the military. Mm-hmm. It's more of like a family tradition thing to actually join the Army. But I had a lot of land to play with when I was a kid, and, it's just something I enjoyed being out.
Did you play in there where the old park was at down there?
No, never. That's illegal.
No, never inside there.
That's illegal. Trespassing.
I actually remember when the park was open, so it shows you how old I am.
I bet it was cool.
Yeah,
unfortunately, before my time.
So when you went into the service right after high school, correct?
Yeah, I took a few months off and spent time with family, went down, helped my grandparents out on their farm, and then around November, I think, I signed the paperwork, and I had to wait for some reason, and February I shipped out.
Right. Did you know what you were going to do when you signed the paperwork? I know you were an infantry paratrooper, which is who, but so did you know that going in, or did they put you in that position, or
No, that's what I wanted. Mm-hmm. I saw Band of Brothers when I was a kid.
Right.
Absolutely, just
got
enthused.
sold on it. Yeah.
It was awesome. I wanted to be a paratrooper. That's what I said when I walked in the recruiter's office. They're like, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to be a paratrooper." They're like, "Okay." So they got me an Option 40 contract, and after airborne school, things didn't work out, and I ended up going to the 82nd Airborne, which was awesome. That was the best place to ever be. It's a brotherhood for sure.
So you spent some time down at Fort Benning and Basic.
Yeah, Fort Benning and Basic, and then jump school was Benning too. And then right after that, I think August, I went to my unit.
Went to Bragg.
Yeah.
How was jump school?
Loved it. I remember my buddy, he turns to me on our first jump and he goes, "Hey, you think we're going to be all right?" And I dead-eyed looked at him. I said, "You know what, Bucci, it's in God's hands now." And then we went.
Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of folks went before you, so you got to figure, the parachutes work pretty well.
Yeah, you hear that one story. Yeah. Oh, that guy, he almost burned in. But you never
there's
really
always
see
a
it.
story.
Thank God, knock on wood.
Yeah, I remember jump school. I remember there was an ambulance that it was coming close to that was on the drop zone, and the guy keeps yelling, "Just keep your legs together." And I'm thinking, well, either way, my legs together, the ambulance is going to hurt. But I wound up missing it by about 10 feet. So, why is this thing out here?
Yeah, well, got to make sure. everything contingency.
Yeah.
you
So
know.
what was what kind of plane were you jumping out of in
We jumped C-17s and C-130s. And right as I got into airborne school, we jumped T-10s, but they were transitioning over to the T-11s, which is the bigger, more squared off parachute.
Yeah, more control of it.
More control. And I said, why are we switching over to these? They're like, well, it slows your descent a little better, and it's made more for the soldier today than the T-10s were, because, you carry more gear now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's heavier.
I think it had something to do with the C-17s too, because that's what most of the jumps are today, aren't they?
Yeah, most of them are. I mean, we jumped a lot of C-130s, but C-17s are pretty popular.
So you go to Bragg, and what year was that?
That was August of 2013.
2013. So you go to Bragg. I mean, obviously, we've been at war now for 15 years, I guess, quite a while. So going into the service, you kind of knew what you were getting into.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's why most people join.
Right.
Want to go uphold our standard across the world.
So what was it like getting to Fort Bragg?
It was awe-inspiring. I mean, I got there, it was at night, and I just remember thinking, like, this is a city. This isn't a base. I mean, the buildings are everywhere. Everything's bright, 6, 7-story buildings.
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, this isn't like Podunk. I thought it would be smaller. Right. But I got to my unit, and immediately, gut check, just, I'm a private. We start sweeping and getting yelled at all the time. I'm like, what happened? What did I do?
They didn't make you jump out the third floor latrine windows or anything like that?
They never made me do that. I may have done that on my own accord. I don't know.
That's always the stories out of Bragg. Everybody jumping out of the windows or rappelling out of the windows. That and Fort Campbell. I was like, well, why did we do that? But it's a lot of fun.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
Meet the best of people there.
Right. So deployment-wise, how many deployments?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
January 2014, we went to Afghanistan, and we were there from January to October, which was totally different. People always talk about, third world countries.
Right.
That is a third world country. And, culture shock. We went from Afghanistan, we went from Manis to Afghanistan, and that was weird because, you leave, it's cold in North Carolina, and then there is snow and ice in Kyrgyzstan, and there is snow and ice in Afghanistan. I thought Afghanistan was hot.
Yeah, depends on where you're at.
I guess.
Where'd you fly into in Afghanistan?
We flew into Bagram Air Force
so
Base.
you're up north, yeah?
Yeah, and then we went up to Mazar Sharif.
Yeah.
And that was pretty far north.
Yeah, I know up there, you can get snow up there in the mountains, and then you go down to Kandahar, and it's like Southern California.
That's what I've heard.
80 degrees, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a strange place.
Absolutely.
So when you're getting ready to go over there, what's going through your head when you were told you're going?
A lot of excitement, a lot of unknown.
Right.
That was the main thing. Everybody was always, kind of on edge before we left. We're all privates. We don't know any better. And the NCOs are telling us, they're like, just listen to us, and we'll take care of you.
Right. You had a lot of guys that had probably been 1, 2, 3 deployments.
A lot of guys I was with were there 2 and 3 times.
Yeah, I know the 82nd did a lot of rotations over there throughout the years. So I don't get a lot of young guys on the show or gals that I get to ask this. So what'd your parents think?
Well, my mom was a little upset that I was going to go to Afghanistan.
Right.
And then, came home and, it seemed like everything was all right. And then my dad tells me, he goes, it's not just you who goes over there, it's all of us. I said, man, I hate to put you guys through that, but that's the job.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're meant to do.
Right.
But other than that, everybody felt, proud.
Right.
My son or my brother has served.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal to me. It made me
Right.
feel like $1 million. Like, we're out there, we're there.
It's a family affair. I mean,
It really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's no. I think a lot of people take it for granted. I always say it's easier being the soldier than it is the family member sometimes.
I believe it. I mean, when the day we got back, the day the plane landed, we were in Green Ramp, and everybody's family is just overpowered with joy. I mean, the faces, the pure emotion that was in that airplane hangar was through the roof.
Right.
It was cool.
Yeah, you're pumped and everything, getting ready.
Oh,
to see
you're
your
pumped.
family.
You got your beret on. Everything's you feel good. You got deployment body. You're all big. Feel big and bad. I was carrying my machine gun, walking in the airplane hangar. My mom, she runs from the crowd. She goes, Eric, and just tears of joy and happiness. It was awesome.
That's cool. So what was your deployment like? What'd you do over there?
Well, the deployment was, I don't know if we're supposed to talk about it so much, but we were guarding a base that was pretty big, and we were just security
Was
forces.
it Bagram or?
It was on Bagram.
Okay.
But we were guarding it just, to make sure that nobody did any bad things.
Right.
So we get there, and we were kind of worried if we were going to go outside the wire or not. Guys are waiting.
Right.
Well, when's our time going to come? It never did. We always stayed on the base and just protected it, overlooked it.
So you were just security.
Sat in the guard tower,
Yeah.
But we did receive mortar fire pretty often. Our first day in Bagram, we landed there. It was in April because we had come from Mazar Sharif, so now we're on Bagram. And the guy goes, yeah, we haven't had a mortar attack in 2 weeks. That night, 11 come in. We're like, whoa, this is different because that stuff didn't happen up north where we were at least. So that was a little different, but that's the only thing that really happened.
Yeah. So was Bagram? It had the division headquarters. Is that still where everything's headquartered out of?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
The only thing I do know is that we're still there, and Bagram is huge. Bagram is a city.
So you got out. You made sergeant when you got out, right?
No, I'm still a specialist.
Still a specialist.
But I got out, joined the National Guard, and eventually, soon, I'll be promoted to sergeant. I still have to go to BLC.
Right. So when you got out, did you know you were going to go into the Guard, or you just?
That was kind of by the cuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I got out and I thought, do I really want to separate myself from the military completely? And at the end of the day, the decision was, I still want to be a part of it some way, to give back.
Right.
Or just to be a part.
Right. So how long have you been home now?
I got home in June, and then from now till June, about 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, when you're getting out, and what makes you make that decision? I mean, the military. Some people go in for a couple of years. Some people go in for a career. So when you're getting out, what's that feeling? You're separating from your friends. You're coming back home. The unknowns of job, school. I mean, it's no paycheck. What are you thinking about?
Well, all those things will definitely weigh on you. I mean, they weighed on me. A lot of my friends, by the time I was getting out, their contracts had already ended. So, the group of guys we had a group of 10 guys who we always hung around because we're all privates together.
Right.
But by the time it was my time to get out, they were all gone.
It
was an easy decision to be like, well, my friends aren't here anymore, and do I want to stay? And a big part of me wanted to stay. I mean, I still think about it.
You like what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
Jumping out of airplanes is fun, isn't it?
Yeah, doing training missions.
Yeah,
As much as the sucks, it's fun to be out there
Yeah.
and get the experience, and kind of work on the things you need to work on.
I know there's nothing like a day after you do a jump. I mean, the rest of the day is just kind of like you.
Easy peasy. Once you hit the ground, you're like, I'm alive.
Day's good.
All right,
Yeah,
we're good.
The rest of the day is good. Let's go have lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're not married or anything like that. So you come back home, moved in with mom and dad, or?
I did. I came back home, moved in with mom and dad.
So it's a pretty easy move then.
It was a pretty easy transition. I mean, I wasn't.
What's your outlook for the future?
Well, for the future, I need to get a trade job, which I'm working on now. But I've been with the veteran service for 7 months now, and good as gold, best people there are in the world. Now I'm just transitioning into a more stable job that I can make a career.
Use the GI Bill.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's some good benefits coming out of the service with the GI Bill and home loans and things like that.
For sure.
To come back to. So was it different coming back home and running into some of your buddies that maybe didn't go into the service, or those kids that you grew up with in high school? I mean, what's it like running into them?
It is different. I mean, when I left, a lot of them haven't seen me in almost 5 years.
Right.
So I left skinny, scrawny little kid, came back, and now I'm much bigger physically, and I act a little different. That's what they say. I mean, I don't see it, but it is weird coming back and seeing people do the same thing they're doing when you left.
Seems like they haven't changed. Nothing's changed really.
Kind of not.
Yeah.
And that's a transition in itself. But for the most part, things have been going well. And the people I do run into, it's normally a, hey, how's it going? But,
right.
Life changes. Life moves on.
And how about your family?
A lot of things, a lot of crazy stuff's happened. The day we landed in Afghanistan was actually my birthday. So on the plane ride over, I turned 21. On that day when I landed in Manus, I got a text message that said my niece was born on our birthday.
Oh, wow.
And that's actually coming
So you
up.
could actually get text messages over there?
We had Wi-Fi, so as soon as
Okay.
we landed, I was, everybody's burning up their phone trying to get in the last messages. But yeah, that was something really cool.
Yeah.
Landed and it was like my birthday gift. She's born, and
Well, that's cool. Well, I guess that's a good way to kick off a deployment.
yeah,
and stuff like
absolutely.
that, so, how do you think the service? What did it do for you? I mean, personally. I mean, how did it change you?
Well, personally,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into being in the military and kind of becoming a man. And that's what it did for me. I went into the service kind of entitled, I think personally. And when I was in it, I got beat down so much, I realized that, you have to earn your keep for everything you do. And that's what the military is about, earning your keep. You go from doing your own laundry, making your own meals,
Right.
Being on time, being accountable for yourself. And that really gives you the discipline to pretty much take any part of your life, I mean, even outside the military, you can still keep that same discipline.
So I mean, obviously, you got to see a couple other different places of the world. What's your perspective of the United States prior to and after your deployment?
People don't know how good they actually have it here. The United States it's second to none. I mean, this place is great. If they would take themselves outside of it from an objective view and saw the United States and saw an actual third world country, they would be thanking God for what they have here. I mean, the amenities we have, the way we do politics, everything is second to none.
A lot of people, I think, take. I mean, there's always room for improvements. I'm not going to say there isn't, but
That's with everything.
yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of people do take for granted how good we have it here in this country, and clean water, clean clothes, heat, garbage collection on a regular basis. I mean, just the things that are so normal to most of us here aren't to other countries.
No.
I mean, clean water is very inaccessible in some of those countries, and so let's talk a little bit about what you did in the service, as far as how you trained and prepared to get ready to go to Afghanistan.
Well, always leading up to a deployment, every unit is going to go through the proper procedures to basically certify themselves that yes, they'll be ready to fight. So leading up to Afghanistan, I mean, we were constantly doing platoon live fires, company live fires, all the way down to fire team level. I mean, it was always constantly training. Every day you walked into work, it was something new. Even if it was just, battle drills, going over them in your head or on a sheet of paper, you knew you were training for the big event.
Did they teach you anything about the culture over there? I mean, to get ready for the people?
Absolutely. I mean, there were tons of, death by PowerPoints about the country, the layout of the land, how the people spoke, all the way down to people's body language. I mean, that was something we studied.
Things to look for and stuff like that.
Things to look for. If you see someone walking and they're not shaking their arms when they walk, that seems odd, and you'll see that. But it was from the teeniest little level all the way up to battalion, what each person's mission was.
Wow. One of the things that sticks out in the culture training with me is they taught us about the different ways that they tied their turbans, or their head.
Really?
Yeah, and apparently, like each, I don't know if it was each sect, but like each clan or whatever had different ways to do that. And if they were Al Qaeda, they tied it in a certain way, and we were kind of trained to look out for that. And they caught on to that. We were catching on that we knew who the Al Qaeda was when we first got there, because this was relatively second year, was going on over there, 2003. So they started to change how they tied it. They went back to their clan's tie or whatever. But yeah, the Al Qaeda guys were tying it in a different way.
Isn't that something?
It was like a little signal, like a brotherhood.
Did they,
like the secret handshake,
Did they have a name for your unit?
When we were over there?
Yeah.
No, I have no idea. Yeah. You talking about the Al Qaeda guys, or
just anybody in general? They called us a circle and square tribe because they would look at our patch with the AAs for the
No, I don't think
80
they.
second
I
interval?
was at the 10th Mountain. I don't think they. I never heard them refer to us anything special. You know.
Okay.
But
Never
so getting back to the training and stuff. So you're private officers, NCOs. What's it like being a? I mean, I know what it's like, but it's been a long time. But what's it like to be a private in the Army today?
Well, you say Roger a lot, and you just do your job to the best of your ability. And if you don't know something, ask somebody. Ask another private.
So what about the non-coms in the service?
I got to tell you, I've run into all walks of life. And NCOs, absolutely. I mean, they're the backbone of the military.
Right.
Period. And they will always, the good NCOs will always give you the best advice they can. And if they don't know the answer, they'll get it for you.
Right.
And it's fast.
Yeah, I think the military has some great leadership training out there for not just enlisted NCOs and privates, but their officer corps is pretty good too. So what kind of friendships did you make over there? I mean, you still talk to your buddies, your battle buddies, or anything like that?
Absolutely. The best friend I ever made in the Army, his name is Justin Almaker. He lives in Long Beach, California. We are two different people. In fact, when we met, we were both deployed together, but we were in different squads, so we really didn't hang out that
Right.
much. And when we came back, they're like, "Hey, Almaker's going to be your roommate." I said, "Great. I don't know him. I don't know him that much. He's in my platoon, but whatever." And just living with the guy, and we found common ground in the Army. We loved doing the training, and we'd been living together for a month, and then battalion scout tryouts were coming around, and they were asking everybody, "Do you want to try out?" And people were like, "Well, we don't want to leave the platoon." And me and him thought, "Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Right.
Better ourselves." We did. We both made it, and from then on, we were always together, always training together, always doing something together. And that guy from that day on became my best friend. I mean, he comes out to my house for Thanksgiving all the way from California.
Well, I'd be going to his house this time of year because
I know.
it's a lot nicer in Long Beach than it is right here
Yeah,
as
I
far
know
as
it.
the weather. So, we talked about the cultures in different countries, but you're right, the culture just going into the military and the thousands of people that you meet in the different cultures is pretty crazy because you think, well, everybody's pretty much the same, and they're not. I mean, the one thing that always stuck out with me was guys from New York and gals, but people that lived in New York City, they didn't drive. I mean, when I joined the military, we had a bunch of folks from New York and Chicago and stuff, and I mean, I grew up near Cleveland, so I mean, I was kind of in tune to the city.
Right.
But all the guys from New York, it's like, you drive? They're like, why would I drive? And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you drive? Because for us, I mean, grow up 16, you get your license, but they couldn't afford to park a car in New York City, so they didn't drive. Plus you got all the transit.
Yeah, I mean, public transit is huge.
Yeah.
New York, Chicago, places like that. Yeah, I mean, we had one guy in my squad. Guy was a pro surfer from Long Beach.
Wow.
And then, they got the other guy who was a mechanic and just really all walks of life. That guy from New York, he called me a hillbilly because I told him I had been deer hunting before,
Yeah.
He's from Long Beach. He didn't know.
Yeah.
Or Long Island. He didn't know about that.
Well, chewing tobacco. I never, growing up, the only person I knew that chewed was like a 70-year-old guy.
I know.
I knew nobody that dipped, and then, you join the military and everybody dipped.
Everybody
Yeah.
dips.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I'm like, I still never had it.
Really?
Never tried it. No, I never
Good.
will.
No, keep it that way.
No, yeah, I won't. But I mean, it's one of those things though. That's kind of culture. You think you kind of know what's going on in the country or the world or whatever, and then you go out and you meet all these people that are much different than you in some ways, but in other ways very similar to you too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You always find that common ground no matter any walk of life. When you're there together, skin color, religion, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're all the same.
You're all wearing army green at that point.
Absolutely.
So what do you plan on doing with the rest of your life? Tough question at 25 years old.
To sum it all up, the rest of my life, I just want to live happily.
Yeah.
Want to live comfortably, pursue the American dream. Want to have a nice house, the white picket fence, the 2-car garage with a 68 Shelby GT 500.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't know, hey, guy can dream.
Right.
Just be happy, work a good job, and make something of myself that has an impact in the world.
Well, I know you've been working for us for a couple months, and you're getting ready to leave and go off to school and do another job. and you did a great job for us driving. It's great to have someone your stature come in and get out of the military and go off and pursue the American dream and enjoy what they did in the military. And it's good to know we got people like you out there protecting us. I ask everybody that comes on the show, if you had it to do all over again, would you do it again?
Hell yeah, in a heartbeat.
All right.
In fact, if I had to do it over again, I might have stayed.
Might have stayed. You can always go back.
I'm thinking, well, you know, it's always a possibility.
All right. Well, hey, Eric, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's good to have you. Good luck in your future, all right?
Thank you, Ed.
We'll see you next month on Salute to Service. Thank you.
Can you help me with this? My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
He helps me with homework.
That would be 3.6795.
Thanks.
Yep.
He helps me with my decision making.
I wouldn't use this one. Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
I'm learning so much.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Hi, I'm Ed Zachary, Director and Service Officer for the Medina County Veterans Service Office. If you're a veteran or a widow of a veteran and you need assistance in filing a claim with the Department of Veterans Affairs, give us a call, 1-844-722-3800. That's 1-844-722-3800.